This is why. This is exactly why you stay up at night until 11 o'clock. Because you know dang well, in July, they love to drop nonsense. And what we saw last night was some exceptionally good, holy hail type of nonsense that I was not ready for. I was losing my damn mind if it wasn't, if you could honestly believe it. I'm just gonna be absolutely real. So, last night, Genshin said, hey yo, let's just give them the biggest lore drop we have ever dropped ever. That drop harder than your nuts will. And that basically is showing off basically all the damn shades. All the shades of the Heavenly Principles. Let's show off Pierro. Let's show off the sexy Calabina from the back, from the bike. And it just absolutely destroy everybody's minds. And they certainly did that shit to me last night, because I didn't know what I was expecting. I didn't know it was coming at all. I was just ready just in case. And boy howdy, I still wasn't ready. And that's just kind of how it is, right? And plenty of people, as of now, has made like tons of videos, tons of theories about the whole subject of it. And I'm not gonna sit here and lie. I kind of want to just go over it a little bit myself. And just, again, kind of just yap about it and just see what can I make out of it, right? So, where do we start? There's so much dang lore here, right? So, obviously, I guess we could first start off with the fact that, one, Ryan Daughter is just, you know, here. We got to actually see what Ryan Daughter looks like. I mean, at least of what she currently looks like now that she fused with, like, the ruler of life, Nefarious. And when it comes down to it, she looked golden as hell. Like, she wasn't called gold for effing nothing. She literally looks that way, you know? And one detail I didn't even notice until I saw somebody point this out, which was the fact that her eyes have the whole chromosome symbols in them. Like the upside down Y and the X that's just glittered in gold and all that sort of stuff. And that was just a nice little detail. But basically, it's not like she has a full, complete control over, you know, the form of what she has of being the ruler of life. No, the Barriers is still there, and she's very much still, like, you know, not effing with the situation to the absolute degree. But what else can they do? And it seems like she's kind of chill with the rest of the shades too, which is a bit weird, a bit strange that, you know, they just kind of just like, all right, well, whatever. I guess you're just here now, and not necessarily want to just, I don't know, fix the situation or just rip Ryan Daughter out the situation. It's kind of crazy and weird at the same time. I think the part about that really surprises me the most, or at least the part that really is getting me, is that Ryan Daughter just gets around, dude. She's like a hooker, but the hooker that's actually smart and messes with basically broke guys and rich guys and finesses everybody in the entire system, right? That's what it feels like, because she is one of the five sinners. She's also, you know, part of the Hexen Circle, and now she's a part of the damn shade. She's triple agent stuff out here. She's triple agenting things around here, and it's kind of wild. What she is, Axel for Kingdom Hearts 2, trying to be a double agent for the real organization, and, you know, for the fake ass organization with Marluxia and them. Like, that's what it feels like out here, right? It's very weird, because it's just like, what is her whole ass goal? Is she just trying to experiment on shit just because she can, and that's literally the whole thing? Is it because she just wanted you see how far life can actually go? I don't know. Ryan Daughter is a weird ass case. I wouldn't be surprised if she's just out here wanting to, I don't know, like, fuse life or create some type of new age of life with, like, the power of a deity or something like that, or take some deity and use their or use their bodies to make new life or something out of it. I would not be surprised if that was ended up being the case. But it also seems like she's not able to do what the hell she really wants to, considering that Nefarious is like, hey yo, you trying to plot against the Heavenly Principles? Don't, hey, you might basically take over, like, the whole way of my body moves and everything, but that doesn't mean I can't just sit there and whoop your ass real quick, right? Because that's what it feels like, right? And Ryan Daughter doesn't have any way of, like, I guess, as of now, as far as we know, of kind of like handling that situation. But considering Ryan Daughter know how to get around, she probably would find a way given enough time. I'm sorry, it just still bonkers that this is just the way that we see Ryan Daughter now. That this is our first ever real deal introduction to the character, and it's just that she's around all these other powerful figures too, right? And also, speaking of these powerful figures, we have Ryan Daughter, we have Renova with her fine self, we got Istaroth, the whole like ruler of time, and then the one that's missing from this whole last discussion is the ruler of space. You know, the dang girl from the beginning of the game that basically put everything into motion to separate us from our twin and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, it's not the unknown god anymore. It's not the sustainer of the heavenly principles anymore. No, they actually have a name now, and it's Osmo Day. What in the hell type of name is that? Literally, it's like very close to a certain political, slightly kind of like really twitchy person, YouTuber or content creator or streamer name. It sounded like you took part of that name and then you fused it there, and I really can't unsee that now, and I kind of hate it. But that's just how it is, though. So basically, it's her effing fault that a lot of stuff is happening, and apparently it seems like she's gone rogue as well. You know, that's what it seems like, because Renova is not effing with a lot of stuff that's happening. They called her like whole space usage of her power, at least in the beginning when we got to saw those people get basically torn apart and whatever. That whole space was tainted by, Osmode's power, and it was just like, wait, what? So y'all not effing with the ruler of space? And I believe there was like I believe Minsliv said something about, or maybe I don't know who it was, but I believe somebody was saying like, yo, space and time works together, so maybe that's how things gonna happen in 5.7 with the traveler having and the whole cataclysm that we got to saw with like deer death and all that sort of stuff. So I guess maybe that's right, and maybe that's wrong. Maybe it's a bit different. Maybe Istaroth was freezing time for something else to kind of take place there, and so at the very same time, maybe it was just to, I don't know, I guess like keep track of Osmo Day, to keep track of the ruler of space. Maybe just to allow them to do what they're gonna do, and that's just kind of how it is. Who really knows? The point is, though, essentially, Osmode is not necessarily effing with the whole other shades right now, considering that they haven't come to the meeting with the other shades. And apparently, it's seeming like she's switching sides. With who? We don't really know. That's just kind of how it is. All we know is Renova kind of mentioned that, yo, it seems like she's really messing with her new master than even caring about herself. Like, she really is putting over whoever she's serving now over her own self and what she actually needs to do and all that other stuff too, right? And maybe that's just all the shades care about, is to complete your goal, and that's literally it. Like, do what you need to do as a shade, because immediately my brain goes back to Ryan Daughter. I'm like, so y'all just chill with her now, right? Granted, we don't know the circumstance of why she ate Naberius' heart, and that's why things kind of went up the way it did, but still, it's just like, you sure about that? You sure this is fine? But I guess if Ryan Daughter is okay with just doing the ruler of life's work, and that's literally it, maybe she just doesn't really need to be a bother. Maybe no one really cares, and we just kind of do whatever, and that's just about it. I don't know. Again, the situation of everything is effing weird, and it's a bit bonkers. But maybe they just have their own set of morals, and maybe that's just how it is. Granted, these are very big concepts these shades are harboring, and essentially, I would imagine the certain types of morals that we have as human beings is far more different and far more wider of scale of what they actually consider to be, actual good, and what's actually what they need to do, and what's actually a bad thing, and what's actually evil. I assume their philosophy on just everything is a way bigger, different sort of scale than what we actually could visualize as regular people. But you know what I do find kind of funny about this? Even though we literally have a ruler of time and, life and all that sort of stuff, I feel like, though, with how everybody kind of is, Renova feels like the odd one out. And I guess you could say the ruler of time too. But when it comes down to it, Renova is obviously designed very differently. She's black and red, while everybody else has some type of element of white and, you know, some type of a level of, like, I guess, holiness looking to them, where Renova just looks straight up evil. But that's not really, I would say, or I would even argue, the damn case. I feel like, if we're gonna be honest too, the shades don't feel like evil. Well, maybe Ryan daughter, but everybody else don't really feel, and I guess Osmo Day, but really it doesn't feel like the shades are inherently evil. It's kind of just like, well, we're kind of here and we need to do what we need to do because that's what the heavenly principles literally made us to do, right? So when Nova probably, like, you know, taking people's lives or, you know, trying to get death to happen, it's literally within her code to kind of do. It kind of reminds me of, you know, Vanitas from Kingdom Hearts 3, how he was kind of talking to Vincent and Sora, how he, you know, just is darkness and that's what he is and that's literally what he's meant to do and there's no changing that. Maybe that's essentially what they, you know, are. Maybe that's essentially what they are just doing, and that's just the whole damn plot of them, right? Maybe it's not because, oh, there's some good or bad intention here. It just, that's just the job. That's what we're supposed to do as shades. We're supposed to obey, and that's basically kind of it. And Renova, out of anybody, seems very much more uptight to be with the heavenly principles and do what they need to do versus literally anybody else of the shades, which kind of is a good and slash bad thing, because I ain't gonna lie, that kind of feels like it makes it more harder for someone like Renova to be playable. You know, I'm not gonna lie, kind of want Renova to be playable, if I'm gonna be honest. Like, if we don't get literally one shade to be playable, I'm actually gonna be kind of pissed about that. I'm not gonna sit here and lie. I would like to need one shade to be playable, Hoyoverse. If we don't get that, you're literally throwing money away and not cashing in on ideas. But again, honestly, that's not really nothing new when it comes down to the game of Genshin. You do not cash on ideas whatsoever. But that's just how it is. But I would definitely say, out of really anybody, Renova does have a level of intrigue within me that's, you know, basic, because, you know, it's just like, you know, it's just death and, you know, kind of putting an end to certain things, and that's just kind of how it is. Like, she's so damn strong, she literally put an end to, like, you know, the ruler of space's whole, like, little dimensional or whatever the hell that place was in the cube in the beginning of the damn trailer, and kind of just said, nah, it's GG's, it's over with. And that's literally how it was. The only other person that's very much interesting is obviously Ishtroth. Now, Ishtroth is interesting for quite a few amount of reasons. One, and mainly the big one that we have noticed throughout this trailer, is that if you look at the voice actors, Venti's VA plays Ishtroth. So once again, that theory of, like, oh, is Venti and Ishtroth somehow related somehow, or they have a connection in some shape and form? Yeah, that theory is very much still holding up hard truth, and it's very much confirmed that, yeah, at this point, pretty much subtly confirming that, yeah, they have some type of connection with each other. Because, you know, and especially if we look into the lore, I believe there was, like, a title that Ishtroth have in Mondstadt, like the times of like the winds or something like that, the 1,000 winds of time, I believe. And Venti also kind of somewhat shares that title too. So, you know, there's a mix between the two, and obviously these two very much knows some shit that's going on, or have some details of what's going on, or whatever the hell. They're connected in some shape or form, which honestly, now that I think about Genshin as a whole, kind of pisses me off a little bit, because literally ever since Ashtaha, I've been asking this question: why the hell hasn't Traveler brought up anything of Conria to Venti at all? We have literally never asked him about Conria, about 500 years ago, about the past, about anything. If anything, he brought it up to us, and that was kind of it in the beginning of the game. But ever since then, we learned so much. And so it's like, why haven't we ever talked to Venti about any of this? Right? You would think you would need to talk about this at some point in time, and yet for whatever reason, literally they just have not done so. And it's weird. It's super weird. And I'm very confused as to why we have never really brought this stuff up to Venti whatsoever. right? Because we literally talked to John Lee about this, and John Lee was like, "Oh, I'm under contract. That's just how it is," and that's understandable. But at the very same time, Venti has literally no reason, and I feel like the game just kind of holding off on that for whatever reason. And I feel like, I'm not gonna lie, that's a bit bad storytelling, because literally we should have been asked by this point, and we should have an answer by this point, but we literally have no idea as to why or how or whatever the hell that kind of comes through with it. It's a bit, that's a bit weird, and a bit of kerfuffle of that whole story of those two, or at least Venti's involvement and stuff, right? But ultimately, though, still, Istroff and Venti have some type of connection. We don't know what it is, but something is very much shaking up there, like it's some ass cheeks. We know something's weird out here. Another thing to mention that I feel like we should is Pierro. That man is very much angry as hell. That man is very much on some treacherous type of timing. Like, literally, the whole ruler of time was like, "Hey, yo, Renova, I think some weird ass dude is trying to stare at you," or something like that from here. And we don't even know where that is. Hell, we don't even know what space and part of time this is, at least initially. But then I guess we kind of do know it's this in Nod Cry, I guess, kind of where we are in this point in time as well, I suppose. I don't know, time travel's kind of weird. Maybe I was thinking maybe it's some other point in time, but I guess it's kind of current. But when it comes down to it, though, literally this man was staring down at these people like, "Oh, they shot my dog, now I'm about to shoot their life." That is the type of stare down this man was having. He was not having any of it, and the fact that this man was able to just stare down in that direction, which kind of shook Renova just a slight bit, it's kind of crazy. Like, what kind of vision does this man have? This man got some 90/20 vision. I need that shit immediately, right? But this man basically is out here kind of getting shit ready, for what the plan is. And it's very much seemingly like what I've been wanting to see for a few months, and what I kind of been, I guess in a way, sort of been saying a few months ago, which is the fact that they want to body a whole god, right? And it seems more like they kind of want to body the heavenly principles. I don't know how they're gonna do that. I don't know if they even have anything powerful in Teyvat to do something like that, but it seems like that's the case, right? Which kind of has always been a question on my brain that I've always asked. What if you just straight up killed an Archon, right? Or killed some type of deity in some shape or form? Would that wake up the heavenly principles? I would imagine, at least imagine so. But at this point, who knows? Maybe they're not even just gonna do that. Maybe they're just gonna straight up try to attack the heavenly principles and get it done, right? Considering that Pierro also referenced like the him and his and all that sort of stuff, basically referring to him. I imagine that the heavenly principles is basically their target, and that's what this whole gathering the gnosis sort of stuff been leading up to, basically to take down the heavenly principles in some shape and form. But at the very same time, I don't really think that's gonna work, though. I don't see how that would work, considering the fact that he's also the person that kind of put the gnosis down there in the first place by, using the body of the third descender. So I don't know how they're gonna go about that. I think they're playing a weird game that's gonna be a little bit more chaotic and more destructive than the Fatui thinks is gonna happen. I don't see them how they win at this. I really don't. But we'll have to see when we get to Nod Cry. And then at the very end of the trailer, we did get to see our glorious queen, Calabina, just kind of sitting in the distance, glitching, because of course she does. But basically, it seems like she's just in a place with flowers, and a lot of people also have said maybe this could be where the Insevats grow, and maybe this is where, the whole, like, sea of flowers, the field of flowers, at the journey's end could be. But I don't think that's it. It's gotta be. It's also been said that it's in Conria too, so this is most likely not it, but it damn near do look kind of close, though. I ain't gonna lie. I'm gonna tell you like this, though: I am not spinning a dang Primo Gem until Calabina's fine self just comes playable, definitely. But when it comes down to it, though, her ass is playable, and that's the time I'll spin, right? Actually, that might be a lie. If Alice becomes playable, or anybody from the Hexen Circle, I probably would spin then too. Or if one of the shades came through, then again, that's a spending situation. Honestly, I kind of hope that the shade is kind of high-key like the Archon sort of thing, and that'd be kind of like our Archon, quote unquote, for the patch. I kind of hope, Or unless they're gonna just drop like 2 Fatui members, and that may be the whole way of how they're gonna go about that. I don't know. And that's kind of like the thing about Na'Cry and what we said before, is that literally we don't know who the Archon-like character is going to be. It could be Calabina, it could be Pierro, it could be any of the Shades. It literally could be effing anybody because there is no dang Archon for this one. Literally. Or it could be just a lot of major players all through this patch, and then we don't get like, you know, the typical Archon thing from like the last part of the whole Archon quest, that patch and all that sort of stuff. I don't know. It's very confusing, a bit weird, but I honestly really like it because it's not anything we have seen before with Genshin trying this sort of stuff. Also, just another side note too, I am so happy that the designs of these characters are very much like mystical looking, right? Because I'm not gonna sit here and lie, I got so tired of seeing Star Rail get all the cool mystical looking shit, and then Genshin keeps getting the regular human shit. It's nice to see some mystical ass, you know, mix-ups when it comes down to things. Skirt was the initiative of that. Now we're getting more of that, and I am super down for it. But overall though, what are my whole entire thoughts about everything, and what do I think the whole future of the game is going to look like? I think it's going to look peak, right? For sure. I'm going to just straight up tell you, I am 100% hyped, 100% for it, and it's just going to be a glorious time. I'm not going to sit here and lie. Last night, I will say this too, there has not been a game that has invoked so much emotion out of me than like Kingdom Hearts and that series of games. Kingdom Hearts has been the #1 game to do it for me, and now as Genshin kind of is going to the place it's going, now it's starting to be, you know, Genshin to kind of fill that void until Kingdom Hearts come back, and that's just kind of how it is. And it's like, what is happening here, right? I am like super invested, more than I ever had before, which I was invested already, but even more so, right? And it's just kind of crazy. Again, there's not many games that has brought out a lot of emotion in me, different types of cons and all that sort of stuff than Kingdom Hearts has. But now Genshin is kind of doing that, and it's just incredibly insane for me to see. Also, I've also seen people kind of yap about, you know, who Osmonday is, or at least what correlation could they have with Paimon. And I'm gonna be real, I know that's like a popular theory, and a lot of people very much is effing with that theory, and, you know, has claims that it could be the case and it could make sense, and in some cases it absolutely do. I don't want that to be the case, and in fact, I'll go as far as to say I don't think that is the case. I think what Paimon is, whatever she does, is still a part of the moon and all that sort of stuff, right? And there's a few reasons why I say that, and it's because, one, if Paimon was dead ass a part of what's going on with like the Shades and whatever, I do feel like one of the Shades would have noticed Paimon by now. Literally, when we were trying to stop Malwika from getting bodied by, you know, Renova herself and committing that sacrifice, Paimon was right there. You don't think Renova for 5 seconds maybe looked at Paimon and would have been like, you seem a bit familiar, but I don't necessarily know from who, right? Or somehow would have known that maybe, you know, Paimon is occupying space or something like that. I don't think it's Paimon, you know, having some type of attachment to Osmo. They could be having some type of a relation, like a fragment of the Heavenly Principle or something like that, but I don't think that's true. I think still, I'm gonna hold on to my theory of Paimon being one of the dang moons that fell to the sea or something like that, or, you know, having something to do with that whole thing, or just being a part with the moon in general, and maybe that is the whole thing in itself, and that's what Paimon's related to. And most likely that's also probably what, you know, Calabina could be related to too, considering, you know, how you had the whole Angel in the first Voyager, and they kind of fell for each other, and then, you know, things kind of happened where that just wasn't the case anymore, and they got punished for it, and that's why the Angels turned into Sealies and all that sort of stuff. So I don't know, I feel like Paimon is more suited towards moon lore than it is with the Shades, right? Like, I feel like the Shades is his own other sort of thing, maybe not too far off, but I feel like it's his own sort of thing. So I'm not going to put Paimon in that category of all that stuff. For me, I'm just not going to do that. Oh, and I guess there's like a whole nother thing I forgot to mention. In the beginning, that of this like whole teaser and whatever, we genuinely had a whole interaction with the old lady, kind of pointing out that, oh yeah, the travelers, they kind of was, chilling until the bitch ass Osmond Day, the space of time, not space of time, but ruler of time came through. Not even the ruler of time, ruler of space. Damn, I can't speak today. But came through and essentially f these people up and tore them apart from each other and then all that sort of stuff. So it's like, do for the shades, do the traveler matter that hard? Like, obviously what happened was outside of the rules, I suppose, of what was supposed to happen. But like, does the rulers of the shades and all that sort of stuff, do they care about the traveler like that? Do they not really care that much? Is it something else that's really, is it just Ryan daughter that's just caring that much, and that's what we saw, kind of with that whole experiment of, those people, I suppose, because I assume, those people being alive in the beginning were just Ryan daughter just effing with that space, bringing life to that space, and essentially, it's not fitting well, so Renova put it into it. I assume that's what happened there. I don't know. It could be something very different, and that just could be how it is. I also kind of want to mention too, how much space is in that damn cube? Because if that whole cube holds a universe or something like that, then what the entire hell? How like, is the whole of like where we are in Teyvat normally? Is we in a cube? Is that's what's going on? We kind of are, considering that the sky is fake as hell, and it has those cube-like effects. So who really knows? There's probably like something else I was gonna say too that I can't think of at the moment, but whatever it was, I'll probably think about it later. Honestly, the only other thing I guess I could say is like maybe the connection between the elements and the shades, right? Like, Arlecchino with the weird pyro power that she has maybe came from Renova, which would make sense considering that, she kind of deals with death and Arlecchino kind of does too. And then also, I believe Istroff has like the time, and that's with wind and animo and all that sort of stuff. And I don't remember what life had. I don't remember. I think maybe Dendro, considering that both of them, now that you think about it, Dendro and the shade of life kind of has like, in power wise, that digital ass effect every time. Like, Dendro has always been a weird ass element now that I think about it, because it's like, why is it so digital versus every other element? It's always been a weird one. But yeah, I don't know. There's just a lot that's going on, and honestly, as the time comes for Nagara to get here, I am very much intrigued to see where the hell they take this whole thing in the story, because very much it's not going to be a simple path. I don't see this to be a simple path, and I don't know what the hell Traveler think they're going to do with all this entire situation, or if they're going to be able to, finesse the situation to the best of their ability, or all that sort of stuff. I don't know. And I know damn sure Dane Slip is cooked. Like, genuinely, this man hate the gods, but I ain't gonna lie, I don't see a way how you beat these people. I don't see how Dane Slip could beat these people. There ain't no damn way. Dane Slip is chopped more than ever before. We thought he was chopped before, letting his whole memories getting manipulated by the abyss and whatever. He couldn't even beat that. He couldn't do that. This man is chopped beyond chop. I don't see how Dane can win this shit. I don't see how he makes it to the end of the damn story. I don't. But yeah, I guess that's really all I wanted to say for this one. This was a crazy ass lore drop, but still, it was a good and needed one. Especially when Genshin was just about to be hitting its boring point of waiting. But, we very much here for it, boys. So I guess that's all I really wanted to say for this one. So hopefully you did enjoy. If you did, be sure to like, share, subscribe, hit the bell notification on your way out. Also follow on socials. And if you'd like to donate to the channel, Kofi and Cash Out is available as well. And until then, it's been Boy J, sign off. Have a blessed day.